Using user-defined variables. You can employ MySQL user variables to remember results without having to store them in temporary variables in the client. And we can check out the section 9.4 user-defined variables. For example, to find the articles with the highest and lowest price, you can do this. So they're giving us this example, and I'm gonna log in into my terminal, so you know how to do this. So we're gonna type in MySQL, then it's gonna be -u, and it's gonna be root, and then -p, and then we're gonna type in our password, so like that. So in the previous video we created a new database, but if you don't remember, you can just pretty much type in show databases like this, and it's gonna show us. So we created the common queries database, so we're gonna use the it's gonna be common queries like this. Okay, so what we are gonna do right now is we're gonna type in select. So it's gonna be select, and it's gonna be add, and it's gonna be minimum price, so it's gonna be underscore price. We're gonna type in colon and the equal sign. We're gonna type in minimum, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna pass in the price. We're gonna separate it with a comma, and then we're gonna have add maximum underscore price, and again we're gonna have the colon, the equal sign, and we're gonna type in max but with uppercase letter, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna pass in the price. And this is gonna be from the table shop. So in the previous video we created this table shop. So and now we're gonna end up this statement with a semicolon. So we're gonna type in, and as you can see we have the minimum prices 125. As you can see here, is minimum is 125 and the maximum is 1995, and these values are from the previous video, so you can check out in this MySQL series. But okay, so now we're gonna select from all columns from the table shop. Okay, so where the price is equal to, and it's gonna be at the minimum price, so in lowercase letters, so at minimum underscore price, or we're gonna use the logical operator, or the price is gonna be equal, and it's gonna be set to at maximum, and this is gonna be in lowercase letters price like this, and we're gonna end up this statement with a semicolon. So and we are gonna get this. So pretty much we have the article, we have 3 articles. The dealer is the dealer D, and the price is 1.25, and then we have 4 articles, the dealer D, and the price, the highest, that is gonna be 19.95. so that is that. We have a note here. It is also possible to store the name of a database object, such as a table or a column, in a user variable, and then use this variable in an SQL statement. However, this requires the use of a prepared statement, and we can check out the section 13.5 prepared statement, so you can check out this link for more information. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the using user-defined variables. So let's move up to the next section, and we're gonna see using foreign keys. MySQL supports foreign keys, which permits cross-reference related data across tables, and foreign keys restraints, which helps keep the related data consistent. A foreign key relationship involves a parent table that holds the initial column values and a child table with column values that reference the parent column values. A foreign key constraint is defined on the child table. The following example relates parent and child tables through a single column foreign key and shows how a foreign key constraint enforces referential integrity. Create the parent and child tables using the following statements. So we're gonna use the SQL statements here, and let's go to our terminal. So let's make it maybe a little bigger, and we're gonna type in create, and it's gonna be a create a table, and we're gonna name it the parent table. So we're gonna create the parent table. We're gonna open parentheses. To the next line, we're gonna have an ID and the integer, and it's gonna be not null like this. We're gonna separate it by a comma. We're gonna move to the next line, and we're gonna have the primary key in uppercase letter, open close parentheses. We're passing in the ID, and it has to be in lowercase letter as we did it in this first line. Okay, so we are gonna move to the next line. We're gonna put in the parentheses, and then we're gonna type in engine, and we're gonna set the engine to n no db. Okay, so it's gonna be n no db like this, and then we're gonna end up this statement with a semicolon. So we have the engine set to n no db, and here we have query. Okay, query okay, 0 rows affected. Okay, so we have created our parent table. So now let's create our child table, and this is pretty similar. So it's going to be create table. So it's going to be create table, and it's going to be child. And okay, so we're going to open parentheses, and this is going to have also an ID, and we have the integer. We're going to have separated this by a comma, and we're going to have in the parent underscore ID, and this is going to be an integer, and we're going to put a comma here. So we're going to have the parent underscore ID integer comma, and we are going to have the index. So it's going to be index, and it's going to be the pair underscore ind. We're going to open and close parentheses here, and we're going to pass in the parent underscore ID like this. We're going to end it with a comma, not a semicolon, just a comma. We're going to move to the next line, and we are going to have the foreign, and it's going to be the foreign key. And inside of this foreign key, we're going to have, inside of the parentheses of the foreign key, we're going to pass in the parent underscore ID. Okay, it's going to be parent underscore ID. And what else? Okay, we're going to move to the next line, and we're going to have references like this, references, and we're going to have in the parent, and inside of the parentheses we're going to pass in the ID. We're going to move to the next line. We're going to close our parentheses, and we are going to have the engine, and this engine is going to be set to the n no db like this, and we're going to end up this statement with a semicolon, and we have created our child table. So we have two tables. We have the parent table and the child table. Okay, now here, insert a row into the parent table like this. So we're gonna insert a row. Let's try it out. Let's move this one here, and we're gonna insert like this, insert into parent, and we're gonna pass in inside the parentheses is gonna be the ID, and then we're gonna have in the values row like this. Okay, the values row, and we're gonna pass in one as in the parentheses. We're gonna end this with a semicolon. Okay, query one. Okay, one row affected, so that's fine. Now, verify that the data was inserted. You can do this simply by selecting all rows from parent as shown here, and we can just type in table and just like this parent, and then we end up this statement with a semicolon, or you can just press enter, and to the next line you press in the semicolon, and we have the ID. And the first row we're gonna have this value that we pass in here, the value 1. So it has been successful. Now insert a row into the child table using the following SQL statement. So let's try it out. Okay, so we're gonna move here, and we're gonna insert into, and it's gonna be into the child table. We're gonna open close parentheses. We're gonna pass in the ID, and we're gonna pass in the parent underscore ID. So we have the ID. Okay, it's gonna be the parent underscore ID. Outside of the parentheses we're gonna have in the values, and the rows we're gonna have inside of the parentheses are gonna be 1, 1. We end up this with a semicolon, this statement with a semicolon. press enter, and we have the query. Okay, one row affected, so that's fine. Now the insert operation is successful because parent underscore ID1 is present in the parent table. Insertion of a row into the child table with a parent underscore ID value that is not present in the parent table is rejected with an error, as you can see here. So let's try it out. But first of all, we can check out, for example, table, and then we can just do the same as parent, and just moving instead of parent, we just type in table, then child, and then you're moving with your semicolon, as we did here. And we have 1, 1, so that's what we have here. Now let's try this one. So we're gonna see that MySQL is gonna throw us an error. So it's gonna be insert into the table child. We're gonna open close parentheses. We're gonna pass in the ID. We're gonna pass in the parent underscore ID. Okay, and then we're gonna have in the values, and the row is gonna be 2, 2 like this. We're gonna end this with a semicolon. And as you can see, it's gonna throw us the cannot add or update a child row. A foreign key counts. Okay, let me see. A foreign key constraint fails. Common query. So this is the name of our database. So this is child. This is our table that we have created. Constraint child underscore IBFK underscore 1 foreign key parent underscore ID reference is parent. Okay, so it's throwing us an error. The operation fails because the specified parent underscore ID value does not exist in the parent table. Okay, trying to delete the previous inserted row from the parent table also fails, as shown here. So let's try it out. Let's try to delete it. So it's gonna be delete. Okay, delete, and it's gonna be from the parent. So we're gonna be from the parent where the ID is set to 1 like this. And let's try it out. And also it's giving us this error. It says okay, error 1451 inside the parentheses 23000 cannot delete or update a parent row. A foreign key constraint fails. Common queries, child constraint, and then we have the foreign key and the reference. So that is that. This operation fails because the record in the child table contains the reference ID parent underscore ID value. Okay, when an operation affects a key value in the parent table that has matching rows in the child table, the result depends on the referential action specified by on update and on delete subclauses of the foreign key clause, omitting on delete and on update clauses as in the current child table definition is the same as specifying the restricted option, which rejects operations that affect a key value in the parent table that has matching rows in the parent table. To demonstrate on delete and on update referential actions, drop the child table and recreated it to include on update and on delete subclasses with the cascade option. The cascade option automatically deletes or updates matching rows in the child table when deleting or updating rows in the parent table. So let's try it out. Let's drop this table. Let's drop it. So it's gonna be just drop table and then the name of the table, that is gonna be child, and then we end up with a semicolon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And you can show tables. So let's see. We have the parent and the shop table. We don't have the child table, so we have dropped it successfully. Now let's recreate it. So you can just copy and paste it, but let's just type it in. So let's move it like right here, and just pretty much create table like this, and it's gonna be the table name is gonna be child. We're gonna open parentheses, create table child, open parentheses, and it's gonna have an ID. This one is gonna be an integer, a comma, and the next line we're gonna have in the parent underscore ID, and also it's gonna be an integer, comma, next line we're gonna have an index. Okay, it's gonna be an index, and then we are gonna have in the pair underscore ind, we are gonna move one space, and we are gonna have in the parent underscore ID. So it's gonna be parent underscore ID, like that. Okay, so it's gonna be index, and then we're gonna put a comma, move to the next line, and we're gonna have in the foreign key. We're gonna have in the foreign key, and we're gonna pass in the parent underscore ID. Okay, so finally we're gonna have in the references, and it's gonna be parent underscore ID. Okay, now it's gonna be just parent, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna pass in the ID. And to the next line we're gonna have on update. So it's gonna be, this is the important one, so on update cascade, like this. And also to the next line we're gonna type in on delete cascade, and we can just pretty much put our closing parentheses here. And to the next line we're gonna have the engine, and we're gonna set it to the NoDB, so like this. So NoDB, and then we end up the system with a semicolon. And yeah, query okay, 0 rows affected. Okay, now insert some rows into the child table using the statement shown here. So we're gonna now insert some rows. Let's see if we can do that, if we are successful. Okay, so it's gonna be insert into the table child, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna pass in the ID. We're gonna pass in the ID in lowercase, and also we're gonna pass in the parent underscore ID. Okay, so outside of that we're gonna have in the values. We're gonna have in the values and values row, and inside of the parentheses of row we're gonna pass in 1, 1, and also we're gonna separate the rows with a comma, and we're gonna type in row and another row, and we're gonna have inside of the parentheses 2, 1, another comma, and we're gonna have another row, and we're gonna have, let me see, it's gonna be 3, 1. So inside of this parentheses is gonna be 3, 1, and we're gonna end up this statement with a semicolon like this. We're gonna press enter and query okay. 3 rows affected, records 3, duplicate 0, warning 0. So now let's verify it. So verify that the data was inserted like this, table child. So let's try it in. So it's gonna be table, and then just the name of the table, that in this case is child. And as you can see, we have ID is gonna be 1, 2, 3, and then the parent ID is gonna be 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so now we're gonna have update the ID in the parent table, changing it from 1 to 2 using the SQL statement shown here. So we have the update now, so we're gonna use the update parent. We're gonna update it, so we're gonna update parent, and we are gonna set the ID. We're gonna set it to 2. Okay, the ID is gonna be set to 2. Okay, where the ID was set to 1. Okay, so the ID right now is set to 1, but we want to update it, so we want to change it to 2. We want to update it to the number 2. So let's try it in. Query okay, 1 row affected, rows match. Okay, 1, change 1. Okay, verify the update was successfully by selecting all rows from the parent table as shown here. So instead of just typing in table child, we're gonna type in table, but this case is gonna be parent semicolon. And as you can see, the ID has been modified. The ID has been updated from 1 to 2. Okay, so now verify that on update cascade referential action updated the child table like this. So let's try it in. We're gonna type in table and lowercase letter child, and now we have the ID is gonna be 1, 2, 3, and then the parent is just the parent underscore ID is gonna be 2. As you can see here, the parent underscore ID was 1, but we updated it to 2. to demonstrate on delete cascade referential action, delete records from the parent table where parent underscore ID is set to 2. This deletes all records in the parent table. So let's try them. So we are gonna have in delete, and as we're gonna delete it from the parent table, so where the ID is set to 2. So we're gonna delete it from the parent table where the ID is set to 2. Semicolon at the end, query okay, one row affected, that's fine. Because all records in the child table are associated with parent underscore ID set to 2, the onDelete cascade referential action removes all records from the child table as shown here. And let's try them. So we are gonna have in table, and we are gonna have in the table, the child table, so semicolon, and now we have the empty set. So for more information about the foreign key constraint, we can check out the foreign key constraint.